Hi everyone, I'm Prabhat and I'm founder of Cyberium. I'm here with the second episode of how to design utilities on Cyberium. And in this episode, we'll talk about designing decentralized utilities using blockchain. So with the blockchain, you can create smart contracts, you can add your logic and rules all in one place, or you can also uh, do it using Cyberium at one place. What Cyberium also offers you is adding all other things. So there are various things required for any utility to function properly. It's just not a smart contract. You also need your workflows, your rules and logic, your staff and members of your team to work together on that utility to respond and collect data, process maybe shipping or process actions or take actions based on what information is coming and going, everything. And so Cyberium frees you from that burden of creating separate managing boxes for blockchain, for your APIs, for your say data middleware like messaging systems, storage, and also it's a cloud platform which you can use our cloud or you can host on your own in your own premise. So I have consulted many organizations. I have worked in banks, I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in government consulting, and over the years, I have seen various kinds of utilities being created. And my experience is that blockchain can really bring a lot of change in how utilities are built. Every software exercise and Cyberium cannot replace all other things. It's a very specific application group which we are targeting on Cyberium. But generally, businesses have to create a lot of softwares to meet certain needs, and needs are changing. Needs are dynamic nowadays. Markets and regulations, everything keeps changing. Plus, you have to have an effective mechanism to control based on what regulations want you to do, right? So it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of time, and this becomes a key differentiator between a winner and a loser in a market. So people who can respond to changes faster are always the winner. Those who cannot or are struggling lose the market opportunity, right? So there are various things which makes blockchain a great candidate for the next stepping stone of evolution in terms of how governments or businesses function. And uh, the way currently we are using blockchain or not using blockchain is certainly not encouraging, because we know blockchain only for few coins, and they are a great way to create public trust, because the values grows for Bitcoin or Ethereum based on public trust. It's nothing else. It's just about trust. Someone says that yes, Bitcoin is great and people believe it. They try and test, of course, that does your claim of being non-corruptible or immutability or so stand, and yes, everything stands. So this creates a mechanism to store value, and that's it. There is no other thing in Bitcoin. But blockchain, on the other hand, has a lot of promises, a lot of values, which are underexplored when you just focus on one or two features of blockchain, which is like cryptocurrency. So one of the things which we have been doing is creating interactions, and we are providing a free calendar app, where you can create your link and the logic of how you want your meetings to be, and people can come and book meetings with you, so you don't have to worry about back and forth on email about what is your good time, my good time, what time zones, and all that. Plus, you can add your team together to respond to if you have a sales team and you want them to kind of be filled with all the daily appointments, so that customers who are coming due to your digital marketing or any kind of marketing effort, so that seamlessness is done well using a calendar app, right? So the calendar app of Cyberium is different than what other uh, providers do, because here what we have built as an app is basically you can do the same and you can create a infinite number of variations on that. yourself, which you don't get in on any other platform, because every other platform is a hard coded, almost hard coded. They give you options to change the name and a few things, but that's it. On Cyberium you can do anything with your app. You want to connect your systems, you want to add 5 more forms in 50 different types, you can do all that. You want API data coming in or going out, you can do that. You can add more functions using blockchain also, which is pretty unique, and that's what we'll be discussing. So I'll take you to the screen here where you will see how this all functions. So this is Studio. If you have not logged in, you may create an account, and currently we have limited this to beta, so you have to get a beta invite to be part of it. So you can create wallets, business wallets, where all your hosted currencies will appear, your apps which you have hosted, your hosted apps. So I have 3 types of calendar. They all are currently same because one is in live and the other 2 are in test. Then this is front end. Here you can create all the front end options of your application or your utility. So let's start from the where it starts. So you have to create scripts on how to show how, or to kind of, you have to create scripts to ensure that proper logic is there in the system to process incoming information, right? And that script is currently in JavaScript. In future versions we'll also add other languages like Python or so. Then you have to create screens. So screens are basically user interfaces. It's a drag and drop interface. Let's see one for detail. So in this interface you can add buttons, input boxes, and also you can create more logic here as well for in screen processing, on the client side processing, right? So this is one screen for, say, start of an app or utility. So like Cyberium hosts an application and then ask the user that what kind of account you want. This is a free account for dentist office appointment. So do you want a free account or do you want a professional account? So there are some features which are there in the professional accounts, like no ads and all that. So that's the screen part. Now going back to the main window, then you can host the workflows. So workflows contains lots of logic information about how data has to move and how different processes have to trigger. And here you can add your teams. I'll show you how here. So this is loading a workflow, and this is the primary engine, you can say, for managing all the logic. Here you can add blockchain, you can add screens, scripts, all things come together in the workflow. So this is the main workflow. So here you see that this application, this is the main part of the application, and who says that? It's me who has designed this. So you can design it in different way. There's no hard and fast rule of designing process. So if you know how to connect different blocks together to make a flow, if you have some idea, some concepts, it's good to go. So the logic designing framework is called BPMN. It's a business process mapping notification. It's a language developed by IBM, and we have extended that to include blockchain as well. Okay, so this is the first step. You can have multiple first steps in the way. So it's kind of a complex topic. So I'm trying to be careful not to flood you with a lot of jargons. So the first thing is that starting point, and the starting point, you have to add a screen. So I showed you one screen before, so that screen is added here, right? And in the permission, you make it public and give it to a group. So any public can access this step, right? And then there are other steps, those are not public depending on what you want that to do. So after this, there is an admin start script which does certain work on the data collected. So like the user has signed up, and then you want that utility to be processed in a certain way depending on what option they have selected. So all that logic is here. And then part of it goes for public usage, because then you want your calendar app to be available for people. So this is the interface which people will have, and these are the interfaces which admin or the user group will have. So this is a very simple utility of calendar. And then you can add many things. You can add APIs here if you want more things to get triggered based on an appointment which has come. So if you like want here that if an appointment happens, generally it goes to the script, but if you want an API trigger to some data system of yours, you can add an API here, and that API will take care of whatever you want, right? Similarly, on the admin side, you can add more teams to handle this. You can add more complex flow of information for achieving certain business goal. You can do that here. So this is workflow. Now, how to add the blockchain? So this one here has the start point and the end point are of three types. You can add a blockchain start event. Then this event will start working only when an event happens on the blockchain. It will get connected to blockchain, and I can show you how here. So let's begin a separate start event and say blockchain start event, and we have three contracts, and I know that hub contract has been created with a function to interact with public. So I will select a particular event and say when a provider or a bid is awarded, right? It takes twice. There is no method in admin. Let's see, pub contract, service requested. Okay. So in the pub contract, there's a method called service requested that can create a meeting, right? So if a meeting request comes from say blockchain, and I'm not going into the logic of why and how and all that, just assume that it's possible that in blockchain someone can request. Of course, you can have anything programmed on a smart contract. So if someone sends you a token to have a meeting and you are part of this network, then only this event will come to you. So everything is like logically is fine. And I want this to go for schedule. Done. So in the calendar app, with just few clicks and a smart contract, you created one utility which is now decentralized. This is so much powerful because now even if the server goes down or service goes down in an area, has an outage, or if you are censored, all the good promises of the blockchain, this thing is not going to crash or stop, right? That's the power, right? Similarly, you can add more blockchain termination, so you can send out message to blockchain. So I'll show you that as well. So suppose that I want that whenever a schedule is created, right, I want this to send out message. I want this to get, no, first I have to select the type. Sorry, don't get connected so soon. Remove this link, select this thing, and make sure that it's a blockchain end event. Means that with this event, something will happen on the blockchain, and there is no further propagation from this point. Because if you have to listen again to blockchain, you cannot make a synchronous call, because you cannot guarantee that someone will reply instantly, and that is because of many reasons. Firstly, when you write something to blockchain, um, there is a time required for that to get added to the block. That is not guaranteed. Means that it is not guaranteed to happen at the same instant. It will happen if your all of the configurations are right, but you cannot guarantee the instantaneous addition of data on the blockchain. Second, you don't know what logic other side has, right? So you are, and that's the beauty of blockchain. You don't know the other party, but you trust the code, the smart contract which you are entering this information into. It will only do what you want to do. It cannot be hacked, it cannot be cracked, it cannot be um, mal executed, right? So that's the power. So you select, you set up your blockchain, say that you want this to go to hub contract, and you want that to say offer or bid, or no, I think say you want to go to offer, okay, and then connect this with blockchain. Now whenever a new schedule is created on your calendar app, there will be an information shared with the blockchain, right? And this is just a very simple example of converting a classical utility into a blockchain utility. It's up to your imagination that what do you want to do. You can create a whole, this is calendar can be seen as a supply chain system as well. Someone is informing you that certain goods have arrived, right? And if you connect through IoT, right, and then this trigger can be automatic, and IoTs will trigger certain processes, because here you can set those processes, steps. So everything can become a large supply chain system which is working on various blockchains, and these blockchains don't have to be the same blockchain. It can be different blockchain with different purposes, and that's the real thing which we are promoting, that you don't have to get hooked on to a type of blockchain. You can use any blockchain, but of course designed to your needs, the kind of consensus, the kind of finality, the kind of storage, um, and various factors which decides what blockchain is good for you, right? And based on that, you can have a very resilient supply chain system. And other thing, that connecting to a blockchain is quite flat. Anybody can interact with the blockchain. You don't have to have a IBM system, an Oracle Java system running on 16 servers just for making one transaction. Generally, large supply chain systems requires a lot of configurations, right? Because they are big blocks of code written to achieve certain purpose, and they have like lot of cases inbuilt into it, so that they never fail, right? But on the other side, the paradigm difference of this is that you can design one smart contract exactly up to your needs, right? And put that to work here. So you don't have to have 15 different servers. You can just rely on just one server. If you want to run this thing on your in on-premise systems, right? Of course, cloud is uniform and transparent. But if you want to run on your side, then that also is quite simple and straight. Anybody can use it, anybody can get integrated, and many a times, if you are a small shipper or supplier, you cannot connect to other parties because they have Microsoft or Oracle or IBM systems whose integration costs run into, say, if not millions, at least some $100,000, right? And but so to make things simpler and uniform, you can connect those APIs here and process that information. So you can reply to RFPs on time, you can respond to all the requests for information, RFIs on time, you can send your invoice using this system to their system, right? So it's very systemized because here you can have your teams working on it with the automation rules as well, along with blockchain, right? So this is the way to design decentralized utilities. And utilities can be anything which requires public actions to happen or actions to happen on other side of the organization, like other organizations where you don't have your own IT environment, you have to cross, right? And most of those systems run into various kind of integration troubles. You have to make sure that their system, because ITs keep changing every 3 months or 4 months or 6 months. There are new things happening, upgrades are happening, and most of the time, if you don't change your systems accordingly, they don't function so well. And the other part of change is that over a period of time, say 1 or 2 years, market practices or the business practices change so much that if you don't upgrade your systems, many of your processes will become manual. People will not, your teams will not be able to use the automated systems. It will be a problem for them to use automated system because that doesn't function the way they want to achieve the end goal. Here, since you can modify any part of the system anytime, easy changes are possible on your own. For more complex one, you of course need professional help, and BPMN based systems are generally more flexible, right? And we are always there to help you get there. Okay. So if you have any questions, shoot that to me. Send me a comment or mail or contact form, or schedule a meeting with me on the calendar. My link is cyberium.info/pksing/calendar. So thank you. Have a great weekend. Have a great week ahead. And see you soon on the third episode, where we'll see more actions on Cyberium. Thank you. Bye.